Today I'm out with my brother and uncle, and we're just going to go on a few trails and kind of compare the trucks. All the trucks today are single cabs with short wheelbases. My truck has 32-inch tall tires and about a 2-inch lift. My uncle's 96 Chevy 1500 is pretty much completely stock. It has 32-inch tall tires and no lift, and it has a pretty cool car seat in the front. My brother's truck has a 6-inch lift and 35-inch tall tires that are Pro Comp mud terrains. I think his truck is a 92 flareside. But we're going to be going over some obstacles to kind of see how much of a difference a lift makes and how much mud terrain tires help or hurt in different situations. So this first obstacle is kind of it's a deep little ravine type ditch that really tests your breakover angle especially, and your departure angle. You'll see my brother, he scrapes the bottom a little bit on the way up, but really has no problem with approach or breakover. And here I'm going to be giving it a try. And my initial idea was to try to creep up it as slowly as I could, but when I got down I realized that there's no way I'd make it up without giving it a little gas and using some momentum. But I scraped a little bit in the back and didn't hit anything underneath when I went over it. My uncle is coming up next, and he really probably picked the hardest line up in my opinion. I kind of went off to the side a little bit, that made it a little bit easier, but you can see here that his breakover angle just isn't quite enough. He was actually really close. When I was standing next to him, I thought he was actually going to make it, but he gives it another shot here, and I'm pretty sure with slightly taller tires he would have made it, or even a slight lift. But he gives it quite a bit of gas here and scrapes a little bit, but is able to make it over the top. We were all able to make it up it here. Cool. We all made it.
There goes my water. 92, hadn't thought about cup holders at it. Never crossed anyone's mind yet.
So this part of the trail was actually one of the more difficult spots. You can see that there's a pretty deep washout here. It's hard to tell on camera, but it was a pretty steep incline going down. My brother kind of got sucked into the middle a little bit. I think my uncle and I were able to straddle the thing a little bit better. Otherwise, I'm not sure if we would have had issues or not, but the three of us made it down without getting stuck or needing any help. So here I am approaching what was actually a pretty sketchy hill climb. It's much steeper than it looks on camera, but the surface was really loose. You can see that I'm kind of spinning out. I just kept it in first gear and revved it out to the top, and my uncle sat this one out My brother tried it before me, and he kind of took a bad line and went too slow. He ended up trying it again and went up it pretty easily.
Let me know if I lose anybody. Yeah, if I get stuck, I'll let you know.
The further we got up the trail, the deeper the snow got, and it was pretty warm out, so it was really slushy and difficult to find traction. You can see my brother start slipping up ahead, and I had my Falcon Wild Peak tires aired down to about 15 psi, and at this spot I felt like I could have driven past him and kept going up the trail, but it's not caught on camera. We ended up airing down his tires from about 35 psi to 20 psi, and he went again and was able to go a little further up the trail, but not much. Maybe we should have aired him down a little bit more, but he ended up pulling off to the side, and I went past and was able to go maybe 40 yards further up the trail until I got too deep. But I'm not sure what the major differences are, if the all-terrains are just that much better in the snow or if weight was a factor. Growing up, I always thought that heavier vehicles did better in the snow, but maybe that's only on the street. Also, I've heard that wider tires kind of float on the snow better. This stuff was so slushy, I don't think any of us were doing any floating. So if you have any input on this, leave comments below. I'm really interested to kind of know what your take is on all-terrains versus mud tires in the snow. So after being defeated by the snow, we turned around and we came across this little river crossing and thought it'd be a good chance to wash off our vehicles a little bit. So from here on, we ended up on a pretty twisty road up this mountainside to kind of a lookout area. And on the way up, there were some pretty steep grades with some loose gravel, and each truck was able to find traction and do really well. In fact, on the whole trip, I was really impressed with all the trucks. We really didn't do anything to really test the Ford at all. It walked over everything with ease, apart from the snow. So next time we head out, we'll have to hit some more challenging obstacles. But I was also really impressed with my uncle's truck. For being completely stock with no lift and no aggressive tires, it did really well. It didn't get damaged at all. It touched down maybe a couple times underneath. But in the future, we plan to go to southern Utah, and in the meantime, we're going to be doing some upgrades to all the trucks. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. We're definitely open to any suggestions and feedback. So thanks for watching the video.